Welcome back everyone to Elder Scroll Online episode 2, and as I mentioned in episode 1, I'm going to be going through add-ons that I use. All an add-on is just something to help you some way in the game. I wouldn't say that it's going to be a life-changing change or help, but it could certainly make gameplay a little bit easier, or maybe help you in some way or another. There's hundreds of add-ons that you can use, and I'm just going to quickly talk through the different types of add-ons that there are, or certainly the ones that I use. So you can actually get these from, or ESO actually supports add-ons. It's actually got it on here. They actually support them, and you get that from if you go to ESO UI, so that's ESOUI.com, and that will take you to the add-ons, and there's hundreds and hundreds of there. I'm not saying the ones I use are the best ones, and I'm not going to say that these are the ones that you have to get. Have a quick look, but this will give you an idea, and obviously what they can all do. So two that you can see currently on the screen are mini-map up in the left hand corner, a experience thing up in the top right hand corner, and a little clock down the bottom left hand corner. The clock is a in-game clock time rather than a real life clock time, so because the cycle time in game is different from in real life, that's why I got that one, because I just wanted to know the time of day and night essentially. You might be thinking, well, why is that important? Well, in game you can actually become a werewolf or vampire. It's another sort of like side part of the game. It unlocks extra skills, it does give you some bonuses. There are plus and negatives obviously if you do want to choose to be one of them, and it's entirely to you. I personally think it's more of a role playing thing if you want to do that. I have made a werewolf. I will upload a werewolf clip at some point, but like I say, there are pluses and minuses to it if you choose to be one of them. And the reason why I'm kind of going off on that one is because they only come out at a certain time at night, generally midnight. So if you've got no idea of what time of day or night it is, you could be waiting around for a long time to try and find them. They're rare, they're in the high level areas, and they only spawn in certain areas, and they don't spawn all at the same time, and they don't spawn both at the same time, if that makes sense. So that's why I got that one. Minimap. The reason why I got minimap is because the game doesn't have a minimap. It does have a map, as you can see here, but it doesn't have a minimap. And I like to be able to run around and sort of glance at my minimap rather than having to keep looking at my map all the time, where I'm heading. XP thing up at the top left hand, right hand corner. The reason why I got that one is just so I can see my progress and what's going on there. There is another add-on that I'm going to be using that's going to be showing my XP, but it doesn't show you the same details as what's on there. It's just something I like to do. It's not a necessity. It's not a game breaking thing, but that's just me personally. So quickly go through these add-ons. If the add-ons can be adjusted in the settings, then they'll be in the settings here. As you can see, I've got those ones there. The add-ons can be enabled and disabled here, just by obviously checking the thing. Some of them are still in beta. Some of them have got a few little bugs in there, so now and again you'll get pop-ups with an error or whatever. Don't worry about that. It's not going to kill the game. If it's causing you that much of a pain, or if it does disrupt your game, then either uncheck it or just delete it. The add-ons, how they appear here, it's fairly simple, and it'll explain it on the add-on thing. But in a nutshell, you download the add-on. It'll be in a zip file. Unzip it, and then you drop the add-on that you've downloaded into your add-ons folder, which you can find in, if you've saved your game to the the normal place. It'll be in your C drive under Documents. Look for your ESO folder, and it'll be inside there. You'll find a folder called Addons. If you can't find it, then just create one. But it should be in there. So these are all the ones I've got. I'll quickly talk through what they are, what they do. Bad gold spammer. There are hundreds and hundreds of gold spammers in this game, as there are in every other MMO. Basically, there's guys that run around gold farming, and you'll find them in the game. There's a lot of dungeons where boss mobs or little sort of mini boss mobs spawn, and there'll be a whole bunch of guys just smashing on these things, looting, waiting for them to respawn. Most of them are automated, so there'll be actually no one at the computer doing it, so there's no point in talking to them because there'll be no one there. What you think about that's entirely up to yourself. Me personally, I think it's bad that it's allowed, but I suppose, you know, everyone's got their own opinion. It's entirely up to you, but yeah, you get a lot of spamming in game, so that's why I got this. It was great at the start, but these gold spammers have obviously hooked onto how the gold spammer add-on works, and rather than, because basically it'll link, it'll find sort of like in the chat when people are spamming in the chat, you know, go to this website, it'll hook onto that and go, well, that's a gold selling website, I'll automatically ignore you. So they use things like / and / to make the www, for example, so it won't pick it up. So those ones you have to automatically ignore by right clicking on the name in the chat and then add to ignore. Wicked framework, that's kind of like, well, I'll explain that in more detail, but that's just like health bar and little toolbar to show you things. Sky shards, as I mentioned in the last episode, Sky Shards, collect 3 gives you a skill point. They're all dotted around the whole of Tamriel, including the PvP area. These are important, you need to grab them, because finding lots of these, for example in Glenumbria, there's, I don't know, 15, 16 of them. That's going to give you a whole chunk of skill points, 5 skill points. And that's going to make a massive impact to what you can level up, especially if you're going to be crafting. Because if you're only getting skill points from leveling up or from certain quests, you're going to be limited on what you can have or what you can do. So, especially with passive skills, which don't require you to put them on the toolbar. So I got this add-on. Some of you may think it's a bit of cheating. I really don't know. Me personally, I did a character all the way up to level 13, 14 without using any add-ons whatsoever, and I got by fine. But I was spending a lot of time trying to find Sky Shards, knowing that there was 15, because you get an achievement, it's in the achievement things in your journal, and I spend a lot of time thinking, where the hell are they? You know, there's some of them are in dungeons, some of them are in like hard to find places, or on little islands or whatever. So I wanted to play the game without spending most of my gameplay trying to find a Sky Shard, you know, just to get that extra skill point here and there. So I got this add-on. All it does, it doesn't help you in too much a way other than putting a little icon on your map, or your mini-map if you get the mini-map add-on, showing you where the Sky Shards are. You still have to go there. If there's mobs, you still have to fight the mobs, but it just gives you a general location of where it is, so it just helps away in a little way. The clock I've already talked about. ESO head, that is a add-on that you require for certain other add-ons to be able to play in the game. Now I had another add-on which was part of ESO head, which I deleted because I upgraded to Wicked framework. So I don't really know if I still need this one or not, but I'm going to leave it on anyway because it was the first one that I actually got. Harvest map, for those of you that are crafting and you want to collect materials, you obviously have to run around. There's materials for blacksmithing, which is your ore, starting off with iron ore. You've got clothing materials, which starts off with jute. You've got alchemy, which is a little alchemy thing, flowers that you collect. You've got enchantment, rune stones. So all these different things you have to find. This add-on doesn't tell you where they are, it will tell you where you've been. So when you find something, it will then put an icon on your map. So it's a good reference, because they keep respawning in the same places. I don't know what the respawn time is on the resources. I'm not actually gone into that much detail yet. But it will put the icons on, and the good thing about it is you do it on one character, it will show for all of your characters, providing you've got this at the start. So if you're just making a character out, or even if you have made one already and you started to watch this YouTube clip, I would definitely get this one if you're going to run around collecting materials, because like I say, it's a good reference for when you want to go and collect materials to make certain things. Loot drop, this isn't a big necessity, but I like it. It shows a little icon in the bottom right hand corner. When you loot stuff, it will appear there, and when you level up, it will appear there. Skill points will appear there. Otherwise, you got no idea what you're looting if you select in the settings auto loot, which I'll be going through in a second. So yeah, I have this just so I can see at a glance what's happening, and you can set the timer in there through the settings. XP view, that's the XP view up in the top right hand corner. I do look at it. It's not a game breaker, but it's just there. I can see what's going on. It shows you how long I've been playing the game, how long it's going to take until I level at the current sort of killing rate. So yeah, and obviously how much XP I need, which is nice to see. I need 70 to get to the next level. And the final one, the minimap here, which can be moved around. Generally I like to have it up in the top right hand corner, bottom right hand corner. Here, unfortunately, in game shows you your quest, where your quest is. Down there's my sort of looting things. Up there's my health bar in game. Down here's the chat channel. So for this, I'm going to be putting it just here. You can reload if you unclick something. You need to reload the UI so it activates it. Otherwise, if you just come out, it doesn't do anything. Settings, I'm just going to quickly go through the settings. This is your video. I've got a decent graphics card and processor, so I have everything turned up as high as it can all go. View distance as far as it can. If you're using a slow computer laptop, then you want to obviously think about your settings, because it will impact your game. I mean, I'm currently on about 100 frames per second, and generally in game I vary between sort of 80 and 90. It's very rare it'll drop below that unless I'm in a highly active area, and it might drop down to about 60, which for an MMO is pretty amazing. Generally most people would be on like 10 to 20. So that's the video, self-explanatory. Audio, play around those settings to adjust what you want, but I'm quite happy with how that is. Gameplay, double tap to dodge on, so if you want to dodge, you just double tap in any direction, and obviously the speed. If you want consolidate area loot, basically what it means, if you kill 2 or 3 NPCs in a close area and you loot one of them, it will loot all of them at the same time. So you can select what you want. If you want to automatically collect everything, then turn auto loot on. And the reason why is, especially if you're looting a lot and you want to make the game a little bit quicker, and you intend on keeping everything anyway to either sell or use, you don't get a pop-up window where you then have to loot it. It will just automatically put it in your bags. Downside is you will take everything. Plus side is it does make things a little bit quicker, so I like to have it on. I actually only discovered this a few days ago. Before I was running around with a little pop-up window that would pop up, and then you would have to select what you wanted to loot and then loot it. Now we'll do that. And you can hide helmet. Some people like to do this because they got crap helmets, or for myself, I'm going to be hiding the helmet because I'm a lizard dude with horns, so I want to be able to show people my horns. Tutorial, I'm going to leave this on so that you can see the tutorials windows that do pop up. But once you've been through, you might want to turn that off, because you don't need to learn everything over and over and over again. So that's that interface. This one's obviously for your interface. I'll quickly go through. So heads up display, controls the visibility of your action bar when automatically displaying is selected. The ability bar will appear in useful situations like combat and targeting. You can select it to don't show, automatically or always. So we've got our action bar, active combat tips, quest tracker. They're all, I'm going to leave them as it is. Health bar, for myself, I want it on all the time, so I can see when I'm taking damage. Injured for when I'm taking damage. Friendly NPCs I'm not bothered about. Friendly players I'm going to leave on, so I can see the difference between a player and an NPC. NPCs aren't going to have a health bar above them, players will. So at a glance I can see whether they're a player or an NPC, and that'll be a green bar. Enemy NPCs and enemy player. Oh God, go on, Leroy, get it out. NPCs and players are going to have a red bar above them permanently, so I can see the difference between enemy, players, and NPCs. And this is for PvP, which I won't go through now because I'm not going to be going through PvP for a while on this character. So that's my interface. Social, if you don't want to see swearing, profanity, turn it on. I'm not too fussed, so I'll leave it off. In fact, I'm going to leave it on in case there are any minors watching the program. I don't swear generally. I'll try not to anyway. But that's that there. Text size, your chat text comes up down the bottom. You can adjust the size of that and the transparency. So I'm going to leave that. I'm going to put that down to 14. Right, now we're getting into add-ons. Loot drop, as I mentioned, it appears down there. You can obviously, whether you want the experience, your gold, and the loot, I have them all on. The display duration, how long it's going to be there for, the width of the thing, how high it goes, and the padding between entries. Because I've done the settings in my thing on other characters, these are already done for me from my other characters, but everything I'm going through now might be slightly different from what you're seeing, so that's why you need to check. Wicked, this will always be like this on every character you make. So what I'm going to go through is show you everything on here. So this is to do with the chat background. I just turn all of these on. I've not spent enough time to look to see the difference between each of them. I've had them off, I've had them on. I'm going to have them on. We've then got a HUD for our health, stamina, and magicka, and that appears down the centre. As far as I'm aware, you can't move it. I can't see any way of moving it, but where it is fine. So I'm going to turn the HUD on. If you turn it off, it will reload your UI. Okay, so just be aware of that. Turn that on and turn that on. So here you can see I've now got health, magicka, and stamina bars here. It's just a nice easy reference to look at, and I like to see what my current and max health is on rather than just a bar. I can actually see what it's currently on. If you're using multiple screens, then it does have the support for that. I have multiple screens, but I'm only playing the game on one, and the other one I have Google and stuff like that up. We then got a toolbar which shows a whole host of things here. Okay, and I'll go through them now. First of all, let's turn it on, because you see the toolbar appears here. I'm just going to move it up the top so hopefully you can see. Now what this does is, in game, there is a part of the game is a compass bar that appears here. This will actually move it if you select it to below this toolbar. You can select whether you want it, centered left, right, or wherever. I just leave it as it is, and then you can lock it in place. That means it won't accidentally move in game. bump compass down, you want to do that so then it will put the compass, in-game compass, below it. Enable background, whether you want it on or off. I like to have it on. The scale depends on how big you want it. I turn it all the way up. Don't worry about the size. I'll explain something in a second. Show time, I like to have 24-hour clock. I'm ex-military, I work 24 hours. I don't like saying AM and PM, so we'll have that up there. And that's obviously little bits on there. Frame rates, FPS, I like to see that so I can see if that drops down drastically, then I know I've got a problem. And you can set a threshold so it'll change colour. So if I was to put that to 60, if it drops down to 60, then it'll turn yellow, I'm guessing, and if it drops to below 15, it'll turn red. I'm not sure what the colours are because it doesn't actually tell you. We then got the zone where we are. So I'm in the whaling prison at the moment. My level 1. We've got an experience bar, so you can have an experience bar and the actual XP if you want that on or off. I'm actually going to, for this, I'm going to turn the experience bar off. I'll normally leave it on, but I'm going to turn this one off for now. That's my XP here, so because I've got my XP here, there's no requirement for me to have a bar as well. Your choice, whatever you want to do. And I'm on 0.70 currently. We've then got show vampire werewolf XP. So if you're a vampire or a werewolf, you can show your XP there. Obviously I'm not, and I'm not going to be on this character, so that can stay off. Horse. When you get a horse, wow, it's thundering outside. I just heard this thunder lightning thing. Right, so horse feeder. In game, you can feed your horse, and I'll go into a little bit more detail on that when I get into the game to go and get my horse. But yeah, you can have this to show when it needs feeding again. I like to have a countdown timer so I can see how long I've got left until it needs feeding. We've got our bag, which is just here. Empty space, or how many items we've got in it and how much capacity we've got. Currently I'm on 0.60, so I've got no items in my bag and I can carry 60 items. Soul gems, I think is next. Oh, matter of fact, we can set the threshold. So 10 it'll turn red, 25 it'll turn yellow. I'm going to turn that to 30, it'll turn yellow, so I can go older. Matter of fact, 20, sorry. I can start thinking I need to start thinking about emptying it out or selling stuff. Soul gems. You get soul gems in game, and I'll explain them when we come across them, but essentially they can be used for recharging your special weapons. You can get special abilities in your weapons, and also either healing yourself. I don't know if you can hear that thunder and stuff in the background. Healing yourself, or resurrecting yourself, or resurrecting dead people. Gold, obviously how much gold we've got. Alliance points if you're doing PvP. I won't be doing that for a while on this guy, so I'll leave it off. We then got these three icons, or these three options here for your crafting. So if you're going to be crafting, if you're smithing, woodworking, or doing clothing, then these three options you can turn on or off. For your research, you can do research, and I'm going to be doing a tutorial on the crafting. So for now, I'm going to turn it off because I'm not crafting on this guy, and I probably won't be. And then you can have the different types of timers for those on there, and then the final bit if you want to have subtitles on. So that's that done. So that's quite a big chunk of time taken for the settings, but that's me now, so I can see the time, I can see what my frame rate is, I can see where I am, what level I am, my XP, my bags, my soul gems, which is quite important later in the game, and my gold. Next we've got Garkin's add-ons, and this is for your sky shard, so you can select what type of icon you want, which will show up on the map and your mini map. the size of the pin, which I'm going to turn down to 30. Pin layer, set the layer of the map pins, so obviously what layer it's on. I just turn that up to 200. Show sky shards on the compass, so use compass that's under here, it will show the sky shards on there. The maximum distance for pins to appear on the compass, so I like to have them turned right up so I can see a good distance. Show unknown sky shards on, show collected off. And it's no point in me seeing sky shards I've been to, unless I was running around with someone that hasn't been to any sky shards and they don't have this add-on. I can just quickly come into settings and turn it on. Minimap, obviously a minimap down here. I like to make it a little bit bigger. I don't want it too big. That's about big enough. Don't worry about the black bits, that's just because I'm in here. The alpha, obviously, whether you can see it or not, and the size of the pin scales on here as well, and I like to turn that down to 20. You kind of play around with that depending on how good your eyesight is, but this for me is just a reference, so I can basically see when I'm running along roads and stuff like that, or if I'm heading for something. I don't use that in main detail. It isn't 100% yet. There are a few little glitches on there. For example, when you're in a group and it's showing you little arrows of where your players, your group members are, it doesn't. It's not a active thing. It will show them, but then they'll still be in the same place even though they're moving. But it's helpful. And then finally we've got harvest map, and this shows you all of your harvest stuff. So enable compass, so it'll basically show the nodes on the compass. I have all the distances all turned up. Field of view, basically it will show you on your compass 360 degrees if there's a harvest node somewhere nearby. Obviously if it's right at the edge, it means that it's somewhere to your side or behind you. And then you can change the colours of the different nodes and the pin size of them as well. I'm just going to leave them as that. I generally change the colours, but I'll just leave it at that for now. So that's all the settings done. I think I have gone through everything. Controls, obviously you can do all the binding for your controls if you're using macros and stuff. I don't use any macros, so I'm not too worried about that. And I mentioned about add-ons, so I think that is me done on settings. So yeah, that's essentially my character now, ready to run around. I've got my mini map, I've got my health bars and stuff down the bottom, I've got my compass at the top, and you can see the white upside down arrow with a little diamond in it. White means it's a active quest, which you can see on the right hand side. If I press journal, that's my active quest. When you've got a selection of them, that white, if you've got a quest, it will be black, and if there's a quest given nearby, it will have like a blue glow around the edge of the white, which I'll show you later on. So that's me done now for episode 2, going through the settings. I'm going to call it a day now, check to make sure that this thunderstorm isn't going to blow anything up, and I will see you in episode 3, which is going to be getting into the game and going through the prison all the way up to Daggerfall. So thanks for watching, and I'm going to leave you with a little tune before I leave.